Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 8, entitled Lord Krishna Shows the Universal Form Within His Mouth. First we'll do word by word. Please repeat. Kalena Vrajata Alpena Gokule Ramakeshavo Janubhyam Sahapanibhyam Ringamano Vijaratu Kalena Vrajatalpena 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 Gokule Ramakeshavo Janubhyam Sahapanibhyam Ringamano Vijaratu. Mataji's please. Kalena Vrajatalpena Gokule Ramakeshavo Janubhyam Sahapanibhyam Ringamano Vijaratu. We'll do word by word. Kalena of time, Vrajata passing, Alpena a very small duration, Gokule in Gokul Vrajadham, Ramakeshavo both Balaram and Krishna, Janubhyam by the strength of their knees, Sahapanibhyam resting on their hands, Ringamano crawling, Vijaratahu enjoyed childhood play. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON. Translation. After a short time passed, both brothers, Ram and Krishna, began to crawl on the ground of Vraja with the strength of their hands and knees and thus enjoy their childhood play. Purport. One Brahmana devotee says, Shrutim apare smritim itare bharatam anne bhajantu bhava bhitaha aham iha nandam vande yasya linde param brahma. Yasya linde param brahma. Let others, fearing material existence, worship the Vedas, the Vedic supplementary Puranas, and the Mahabharata. But I shall worship Nanda Maharaj, in whose courtyard the supreme Brahman is crawling. For a highly exalted devotee, Kaivalya, merging into the existence of the Supreme, appears no better than hell, Narakayate. But here one can simply think of crawling of Krishna and Balaram in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj and always merge in transcendental happiness. As long as one is absorbed in thoughts of Krishna Leela, especially Krishna's childhood pastimes, as Parikshit Maharaj desired to be, one is always merged in actual Kaivalya. Therefore, Vyasadeva compiled Srimad Bhagavatam, Lokasya Janato Vidvams Chakre Satvata Samhitam, Bhagavatam 1.7.6. Vyasadeva compiled Srimad Bhagavatam under the instruction of Narad so that anyone can take advantage of this literature, think of Krishna's pastimes, and always be liberated. Shrutim appare shrutim itare bharatam anne bhajantu bhava bhitaha aham iha nandam vande yasya linde param brahma. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pucharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshtarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. We'll read the shloka one more time. Kalena Vrajatalpena Gokule Rama Keshavau Janubhyam Sahapanibhyam Ringamano Vijaharatuhu. Translation. After a short time passed, both brothers, Ram and Krishna, began to crawl on the grounds of Vraja with the strength of their hands and knees and thus enjoy their childhood play. Hare Krishna. So far in this chapter, we see that how Garga Muni did the name-giving ceremony for Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram, and after that he just went back. And yesterday we saw that how Nanda Maharaj was so exalted, he was very, very happy to know whatever Garga Muni had to say. So before we talk about today's shloka, we will just go back to chapter 7 when Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, when he was starting the explanation to the previous chapter, he mentions that hearing anything about Bhagavan Sri Krishna gradually rids one of indifference to hearing about the Lord and helps one attain prema. But hearing the pastimes of Krishna's childhood quickly brings about Krishna prema. So he is trying to tell that, every pastime of Lord Krishna is great and it will help us attain prema. But when we specifically hear about Krishna's childhood pastimes, it brings about Krishna prema quickly. So that is what he starts the chapter 7 with, and where we learned about Shaktasur Vada and Trinavarta Vada. And then Srila Prabhupada also in his commentary, he says, the beginning of chapter 7, shloka 1 and 2, we are very, very reluctant to hear about the activities of Krishna, but Krishna's childhood activities are so attractive that they are automatically pleasing to the mind and ear. Thus one's attachment for hearing about material things, which is the root cause of material existence, vanishes, and one gradually develops devotional service to the Supreme Lord, attachment for Him, and friendship with the devotees who give us the contribution of Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada is again reiterating the fact that it's very, very nice to hear about Krishna's childhood activities, because they remove the reason of our material existence, and slowly we develop pure love for Krishna, but also we develop friendship with devotees who give us contribution of Krishna consciousness. So, we need to understand in that context that it's important that we, yesterday Jagdishwar Prabhu was also saying it's important that we hear this Krishna Katha and Krishna Leela from the mouth of pure devotees, because that is the right way in, and also in disciplic succession, that we should be hearing this. Now, when we also saw about the previous chapter, we saw that how Krishna shows his Ashwarya aspect, right? The power and the majesty. So we see that how Krishna just with his lips could suck the life air out of Putana. Just with the touch of his feet, he could just break the cart and kill Shaktasur. And just by holding the neck of Trinavarth, he could kill that demon. He's very, very small, but we can see that how powerful, how majestic he is, and his all his limbs can do anything, because these demons were not any ordinary people; they were great demons. So he could show his unlimited powers by revealing the strength of his body limbs, and also we saw in the last chapter that how just while yawning, he showed the universal form to Mother Yashoda. So this is what chapter 7 was all about. Now Guru Maharaj was telling us in one of his lecture that how Krishna's pastimes, they are mixed with Aishwarya, which is the grandeur, like we just discussed, and also Shuddh Madhurya Leela, the sweet pastimes, where he behaves like any ordinary child. So there is a mixture of both these, and for devotees it's important to remember both kind of activities. That gives pure bliss to the devotees. And also, when we talk about the Vrajvasis, they never consider him as the supreme personality of Godhead. For him, he is an ordinary child, right? And just by observing all the Leelas, in not considering him as the supreme personality of Godhead, they were always in transcendental bliss. So they were astonished, they were surprised, but they never thought that he is the supreme personality of Godhead. And whenever there was an opportunity or there was a situation, like when Mother Yashoda was seeing the universal form, Krishna quickly, just by his potency, he just started crying and asked for milk, so that Mother Yashoda just thought that it's just maybe my imagination that I was seeing. So that is the beauty of the pastimes of the Lord. So when the Vrajavasis are in transcendental bliss, when Vyasadeva, he knows everything. So that is the prime reason why he compiled Srimad Bhagavatam, right? And Srila Prabhupada in his purport is also mentioning about the Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 7, the verse 6, where it is said that Vyasadeva compiled Srimad Bhagavatam under the instructions of Narad Muni, so that everyone can take advantage of this literature, think of Krishna's pastimes, and always be liberated. So, if we compare, Vrajvasis were so fortunate because they could physically be present in that dham. They could see the pastimes of the Lord, and they could physically be present with him. But Vyasdev is so merciful that he knew that it's not possible for us to also experience the same thing. So he wrote this literature, this transcendental literature, so that we can cut the ropes of this material world, and we understand this transcendental science of who the Supreme Lord is, and slowly we develop pure love for Krishna. And we also hear all our acharyas tell us that this process of development of pure love starts with hearing and chanting, right? So that is the whole reason why Srila Prabhupada has institutionalized this whole program, where we discuss and hear about Srimad Bhagavatam, pastimes of Lord and his devotees, every day in every temple around the world. But Srila Prabhupada further states that it's not that just by hearing and chanting we will get the mercy of the Lord. It needs to be a very sincere effort. We are not just sitting here and just thinking about something else, just physically present here. No, Prabhupada is saying you need to be sincere in your efforts, and only in that case the Lord will bestow his mercy. But still, Srila Prabhupada is saying that even by hearing and chanting, at least the unwanted miseries of material existence will go away. So you may not have the transcendental knowledge, but even if we hear, you may not develop the pure love for Krishna today, but eventually we will be able to cut these ropes of material existence, and slowly, slowly we will be able to develop pure love for Godhead. And he says that it's not that the transcendental service will come after we understand everything about the Lord. No, he says knowledge is dependent on devotional service. So the more we engage ourselves in the devotional service, that is how we will be able to realize who the supreme truth is and what is the reality about him. So it plays the other way around. So that's how nicely Srila Prabhupada is mentioning the importance of devotional service. So coming back to this shloka, so when Vyasadeva was compiling, definitely he compiled the 9 cantos before he started writing about the Lord, right? So technically in the first 3 words of Srimad Bhagavatam, he is declaring, right, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So he is the all-pervading personality of Godhead, and I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. So he's declaring that, you are the supreme personality of Godhead. But still, over the spread of 9 cantos, he is telling how the creation happens. Why is he supreme? What has he done? How the creation happens? How through his expansions of Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, Kshirodakshai Vishnu, how the expansions are happening, how the universe is created, and how every living entity is dependent on him, how different incarnations came into being, what pastimes they did, right? So we have to go through all these 9 cantos before we come to understand, maybe, we can try to understand the pastimes of the Lord. Even in Brahma Samhita, Brahma is saying that, even Brahma, when we see the commentary, we see that even Brahma and other lords of the mundane world, appearing from the pores of the hair of Mahavishnu, remain alive only as long as the one exhalation of Mahavishnu. So even such exalted, positions or such exalted personalities like Lord Brahma, even, they have limited time in this world. Mahavishnu exhales, everything is created. He inhales and everything is just, annihilated, right? So that is what we need to understand. And Prabhupada always used to say that, we should be able to, we'll be able to capture the essence of 10th canto only once we understand all of this. And only then we should come and read these, the Leelas of Krishna. And so what we are discussing right now is the supremacy of the Lord. How is he the creator, the supreme controller, the supreme proprietor? And in this shlok, what we are seeing is he's just crawling like any ordinary child. Yeah, he and Balaram, right? So though he's beyond the modes of nature, he does not need to do all these things, but just to make his devotees happy, to make the Vrajvasis happy, he's performing activities which look like very, very material, right? We see, all of us have seen children, that how they grow. First they begin crawling, and then they, move on to other things. But Krishna need not do all these things. He is, the Supreme Lord. But just so that the Vrajvasis could experience that or cherish that nectar of seeing him crawl is the reason why he's crawling. So Vrajvasis were very, very happy just by, just by seeing the pastimes personally. But in contrast, Prabhupada is explaining that there are people who do not have this understanding of Supreme Personality of Godhead, that he is a personality, he is a person. So what they try to strive is, they try to get liberation, merge into Brahmajyoti, because for them this body is full of miseries. If you have a body, you will just get miseries. You'll always be, basically we are in Dukhalam Ashashvatam. So they cannot imagine that there could be a world beyond this material world, which is spiritual world, where you get a body where you are not affected by any miseries. You are always in bliss. So because they are not able to imagine that, so they think it's better to merge into the Brahman, and that is what they strive for. But Prabhupada is writing in the purport that this Kaivalya Mukti is not the aim for the devotees, right? Because this Kaivalya Mukti is also not permanent. What happens? They go there and then they do not know what to do, because senses need to be engaged in doing something. But when they go there, they do not know what to do. So they come back, right? So we just read from Sri Chaitanya Chandramrita by Prabodhanand Saraswati. So he's telling us the condition of these devotees and why for them, the pure devotees, any kind of liberation is not something that they desire for. So we'll just read the purports and how the shloka goes. So Prabodhanand Saraswati is saying, Kaivalyam narakayate. So what the Mayavadis strive for is Kaivalya Mukti, or the oneness into the effulgence of the Brahman. But to a devotee, it appears very hellish. They do not want this kind of mukti. What do karmis strive for? Tridasha Pur. They want to go to the heavenly planets where the demigods are staying. But for devotees, it looks like Akash Pushpayate. So what they are saying is, it appears like phantasmagoria, which is something that is not possible. Akash, there cannot be just flowers lying in the sky. It is just not possible. Next, he says that for the yogis, Durdantendriya Kala Sarpa Patali Protkhata Damstrayate. So the yogis, they meditate so that they can control their senses, right? But we know that in the material condition, senses are very, very strong, like poisonous snakes. But a devotee, he is always engaged in the service of the Lord. For him, he is also maybe, he's also surrounded by snakes, but these snakes are with broken teeth. They do not have any fangs. They cannot do anything. Yeah? So there is no possibility for a devotee to fall down, because he is using his senses in serving the Lord, right? So they are not worried about these poisonous snakes. And for devotees, what the next line says is, Vishwam Purna Sukhayate Vidhi Mahendriyadas Mahendradischa Kitayate. Sorry. The entire world is a replica of Vaikuntha for the devotee, because he has no anxiety. He sees that everything belongs to Krishna. He is not striving to achieve anything for his own self, right? He is detached with everything. He just want to enjoy. For him, enjoyment means serving the Lord. He is not aspiring even for the position of the Lord Brahma or Indra. So that is what a pure devotee is striving for. And in last, what the shloka says is, Yat karunya kataksha vaibhav vatam tam gauram eva stuma. He simply wants to engage everything in the service of the Lord, and therefore he has no problems. He stands in his original constitutional position. What is our original constitutional position? That we are a minute, infinitesimal part and parcel of the Lord, and our constitutional position is we have to serve the Lord. And if he is served, we are always happy. So it does not matter to him whether he is here, whether he is in Brahma Jyoti, whether he is in heavenly planets, because he is serving the Lord. So he comes back to his original constitutional position, right? And then at the end he says that all this is possible when one receives Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's merciful glance, right? So this is only possible when we come and we pray to the Lord for his mercy. The next point, again in Sri Chaitanya Chandramrita, verse 60, it is said that a discussion of the impersonal Brahman is not very palatable to the devotees. This is what we discussed. The so-called regulations of Shastras also appear null and void to him. Right? There are so many people who argue over the Shastras, but for a devotee, all these discussions are just tumultuous, roaring. And only by the influence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all these problems disappear. So coming again back to the shloka which Srila Prabhupada is mentioning in his commentary. Now this shloka Srila Prabhupada is mentioning twice. Shrutim apare shrutim itare bharatam anne bhajantu bhava bhitaha aham iha nandam vande yasya linde param brahma. So we just go back to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrit, Madhya Leela, chapter number 19. So this reference comes. So this verse is spoken by Raghupati Upadhyay. He was from a Brahman background. So he came to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And I'll just read few translations from Chaitanya Charitamrit Madhya Leela, 1993 onwards. So when Raghupati Upadhyay came to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he offered his respects to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the Lord gave him blessings and saying, always stay in Krishna consciousness. And then Raghupati Upadhyay was very pleased to hear Lord's blessings. The Lord then asked him to describe Krishna. And next we see, when Raghupati Upadhyay was requested to describe Krishna, he began to recite some verses he had personally composed about Krishna's pastimes. Hearing those verses, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was overwhelmed with ecstatic love. And then we read this shloka, whose translation is that those who are afraid of material existence worship the Vedic literature. Some worship Smriti, the corollaries to the Vedic literature, and the others worship the Puranas and Mahabharata. As far as I am concerned, I worship Krishna's father, Maharaj Nand, in whose courtyard the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, is playing. So this verse is also part of Srila Rupa Goswami's Padyavali. And then after, the subsequent verses, we are seeing that how, just to test this Brahman, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking few questions that, what is the best dham, what is the best form of Krishna, and very, very nice. And in the end, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gets so ecstatic that he starts dancing with this Raghupati Upadhyay. But the essence of this verse is that how it is very, very important that what he is saying is that I will worship Nanda Maharaj. Why Nanda Maharaj? Because he must be such a nice, such a pure devotee that Lord Sri Krishna has taken birth, or he's performing pastimes in his courtyard. So, and he's such exalted that we should be worshipping such devotees. So that's the essence which he's trying to say. So Guru Maharaj also is mentioning in one of his classes that who is bigger? Krishna is bigger or Nanda Maharaj is bigger? Because technically Lord Krishna is everyone's father. But in this pastime, Nanda Maharaj is playing the role of his father, right? And he plays a role of an ordinary parent, right? He has accumulated, he has served so many devotees. He's such an exalted devotee that he got this opportunity to serve the Lord. And as a devotee, what Raghupati Upadhyay is saying, that we should worship and we should serve such devotees, because that is very, very purifying. So that is what we should strive to do. In another verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 5, verse 49, Srila Prabhupada in his commentary refers to a verse from Padma Puran, and there is some conversation going on between Parvati and Lord Shiva, where Parvati Ma is asking Lord Shiva that who should people actually worship? Because people are worshipping you as Lord Shiva. They are also worshipping me. They are also worshipping our two sons, Ganesha and Kartikeya. They are even worshipping, some other demigod. Some are worshipping, trees or whatever they are worshipping. But who is the ultimate personality to whom the people should worship? So, in reply to that, Lord Shiva says a verse that Aradhanam sarvesham Vishnur aradhanam param tasmat parataram devi tadiyanam samarcharam. So Lord Vishnu is saying that because people are embarrassed by so many material desires, they worship Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and different demigods. But in reality, they should worship Lord Vishnu. So of all types of worship to Lord Vishnu is the best, and better than that is worship of Lord Vishnu is the worship of his devotees, the Vaishnava. So that is what Lord Shiva is telling Parvati. So that is the essence of this verse, that we should try to serve the devotees of the Lord. And we see around us that we are having association of so many nice devotees, and Guru Maharaj is, one such pure devotee to who we should always serve. And we serving him means listening to his instructions, right? He always says that, listen to my instructions, and whatever I'm saying is what Srila Prabhupada said, right? So serving him means serving Srila Prabhupada. And so our intention should be that we should try to uh, to fulfill his desires of, setting up farm communities, building temple communities, and following Srila Prabhupada without any deviation. So this is what Guru Maharaj desires, and this is what we should try to do. He also puts a lot of focus on book distribution. He always says that Prabhupada's Vani should go in each and every household. Everyone should read about Srimad Bhagavatam. In his recent lecture in Vrindavan Dham, he was mentioning that he was glorifying the devotees of Salem. He was saying that people sitting at home, they could distribute so many Bhagavatam sets. More than 100 Bhagavatam sets were distributed by few devotees. And he said that, some devotees question that some people do not read all these Vedic literature, so it's very difficult to preach, to distribute. In reply to that, Maharaj is saying that, some devotees do not read, or some people do not read, means some devotees do read, right? So our endeavor should be to reach out to everyone, because some of them will definitely read, and that is what our endeavor should be. And this is a very, very auspicious, Margali month, where this also is celebrated as book distribution marathon month. So everyone, I think all of us are trying to distribute Srila Prabhupada's books, so that we can pass on this message of Lord Krishna in every home. So that and to do that, we should remove all our inhibitions. Some of us are not in a mood to distribute. Some of us have inhibitions regarding the language, but whatever capacity we can, we should try and distribute. Because Prabhupada used to say that whenever I hear the scores of book distribution, I feel very, very youthful. So just to please Srila Prabhupada, we should all try and serve him in this capacity. And this is how we will hopefully, not hopefully, surely one day, we will progress in devotional service, um, only by, pleasing Guru and Krishna. Because it's only by the mercy of Krishna that we have got such a Guru. And we also understand that only by the mercy of the Guru we will be able to understand Krishna, we will be able to develop pure love for him. So it's very difficult to understand the Lord, but yes, we should strive to read about Lord's pastime. We should always try to hear about him. And it's very, very important that we should reciprocate with Krishna by the means of devotional service. So that is very, very important. Whatever we are doing, it's actually our association with Krishna in some form. So that is what we should always try to do. So yeah, that is what I could gather and just shared with you. Please excuse me for any mistakes. If someone has any comments, questions, please feel free to ask. I will try to address them. Hare Krishna.
I have a question for you. You mentioned, I think, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said that we should be attracted to the pastimes of Krishna and his childhood pastimes specifically.
So what he,
as opposed to hearing about the pastimes of Krishna in other forms. Then we also have that instruction, which you touched upon it, that we should read the first 9 cantos of the Bhagavatam before we look at the Krishna's pastimes. And when we look at the deity, we should look at the deity's feet first, then gradually rise up. That example is given, analogy, and then gradually see the lotus face of the Lord. So it seems like a little bit of a contradiction there. On one hand, we're told that we should be focusing on the pastimes of the Lord in his childhood. On the other hand, we're told that we shouldn't be. So how do we reconcile that seemingly contradiction?
Okay, so Prabhuji's, so my understanding, Prabhu, is that when we read about Krishna's pastime or the first 9 cantos, we are gradually coming to a position when we will understand the pastimes of Krishna and we'll be able to appreciate, Krishna as it is, right? So I do not see a contradiction here, Prabhuji, because yes, I think we all understand that we need to read the first 9 cantos before we come and see the face of the Lord, which is the 10th canto. I think what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is trying to say is that so this is specifically to the chapters 7 and 8 when he says that we should hear about Krishna's pastimes, because only by hearing about Krishna's pastime we will be able to develop pure love for the Lord. But it will be very fast process if we hear about his childhood pastimes. So that is the it will be accelerated process if we hear about his childhood pastimes, is what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is trying to say. So my understanding, Prabhuji, is that that when Lord Krishna performed these pastimes in Vrajadham, so the devotees, the Vrajavasis, they never knew that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they were in transcendental bliss just by seeing Krishna perform these pastimes. They were always in transcendental bliss because for them Krishna was always in the center. Whatever they were doing, they wanted to just see Krishna is happy. So, in my limited understanding, that because Vrajavasis were in that mood that they did not understand or they did not see Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so I think Vyasdev is also trying to reciprocate or replicate the same thing for people like us who are not able to associate with the Lord, but through his pastimes we are able to get the same mood. Is what my limited understanding is.
It's not just about Krishna's pastimes, but it's about how the devotees were involved in those pastimes and how they reciprocated and developed in association with Krishna.
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
This Vrindavan pastimes, Krishna, he himself likes it. He wants to be like that. That's the most intimate relationship. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said the most perfection of worship is like gopis, the Brajavatu. So that is the most Krishna likes, and his devotees were completely intimate relationship is the most attractive thing. Therefore, is
Hare Krishna. Okay, just to add up a little bit to this, this what Krishna says. Actually, this is very correct answer. That pastimes of the Lord in any form. We know the Lord has Swayam Rupa form, his own form, Tadikatma Rupa, and then Aveshas. So the worshipping of Tadikatma Rupa or any Vishnu's expansion form, you will develop love in Vaidhi Bhakti. Now here, when Swayam Rupa is worshipped, these are more potencies there, more attractive, because this is Lord's own form. And that also invokes that highest level of bhakti, which is Raganuga Bhakti. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, due to compassionate nature of Acharya, he said, quickly you develop the highest love, you worship that form. And he reveals that yes, this form will give you even more attraction, even highest level of bhakti. And also it's natural, the sweetness of Krishna's pastimes, that is also explained. The difference between, just 2 days ago, Chitta Hari Prabhu said on the lecture, the difference between Narayana and Krishna There's no difference, it's the same person, but in rasa there is a difference. Madhurya rasa, the sweetness of Krishna, sweetness of his childhood pastimes, not only Madhurya rasa, but sweetness of his Kumara, Poganda rasa, Kishora, that's the higher than in any other form. So that gives little clue. Another thing, why Nanda Maharaj is worshipped here, because most of us, we cannot approach directly Krishna. So Krishna said, Tomara Krishna Rite Paro, Tomara Shakati Asha. The pure devotee has captured Krishna. Already Krishna is crawling in his courtyard. So Nanda Maharaj is pure devotee, he has Krishna. He can give us Krishna. He is very kind, his disposition. So we go through the devotee to come to Krishna. So that's another little aspect of that shloka. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.